want to start on inflation because in the U.S. we had this unfortunately hot inflation report yet again. It is something that is affecting the world, but certainly the U.S. reaction to it has a big effect on Europe now. What does it mean for you as you look over your economic landscape?
Well, first of all, that we are not yet in a declining path for inflation in U.S. I think we will reach a declining path, clearly. And we are in a unprecedented situation with a labor market that is still in very good shape,
right.
But high inflation. Of course, in Europe, we have also high inflation. It was 10% in the last figures. But I have to say with different roots. So in Europe, inflation is mostly fueled by energy, energy prices, and the consequences of the war. This is a little bit different from US, where inflation is more connected to the heating of the economy, the strength of the economy. In our case, it is much more something connected to energy prices. So if we are able to address this issue of energy prices, I think we will be able in the midterm to curb down inflation.
In the meantime, as top European central bank officials, including here at these last couple of days in Washington, are saying that there's probably a case for aggressive rate hikes. Do you support that? Is that what Europe needs?
I think it's tightening of monetary policy is ongoing. It is inevitable. We have to avoid that fiscal policies in the governments go in the opposite direction. So from one side you tighten with increasing interest rates, on the other side you loosen. It is not easy because we all know that in these months, in these weeks, especially vulnerable households, companies more affected by energy prices in Europe need to be supported. So this contradiction has to be managed to avoid that fiscal policy is competing with monetary policy, but in a certain sense, the support is necessary. What we ask is this support from government to be temporary and targeted. So not a universal support as the one we had against the pandemic, but something more targeted and, if possible, only with a short period of time.
And is that where you feel you're going? Is there?
Well, I don't think that all the measures that are taken are going in exactly in this direction. So we have to make further effort to have this, because otherwise, if we give the impression to our citizens that we can support each and every activity, as it was the case during the lockdowns, I think we make the wrong choice now.
Well, what about you have called for the EU to issue joint debt as part of the effort to shield the economy from the effects of the energy crisis. What kind of structure do you envisage?
Well, I think that in the European Union we had this extraordinary experience in facing the pandemic, which was establishing a fund that we called Next Generation EU, 800 billion euros in support of our economies. It was the first time since 60 years, and it is a success. So we can't repeat this same thing, but having differences among the different member states.
Okay.
Just think to the inflation. We have countries with 6% of inflation in the Union and others with 22%.
Okay.
So differences are there. To manage these differences, we need common tools.
I want to ask you about Pillar 2, the agreement for a global 15% minimum tax. What's the way forward, and at what point will the EU propose enhanced cooperation?
Well, we are still working to reach unanimity. We are 27, we have 26 member states on board, and we are working to have also the last, which is Hungary, on board, because unanimity on this matter of taxation is the best solution for the European Union. If we will not be able, we will, in any case, with other ways, reach the same goal. So we will implement Pillar 2, possibly with unanimity or with other ways.
So you would go ahead without unanimity?
If we are not able to reach unanimity, we will not give up. We will go ahead with other tools.
So for Pillar 1, it's where it allows companies to tax, countries to tax companies that aren't physically in their country, but they're making money from selling things to their citizens. It's had a tough time. Are you going to start preparing a backup plan, and if so, when?
Well, the principle is simple. You have to pay taxes where you are making your profits, where you are selling your goods and products. And this is not the case in the web economy. I think we have a good proposal. We call it Pillar 1, which is overcoming the fact that each and every jurisdiction has its own digital taxation. This is crazy. Crazy for the system and crazy for companies. So to have a common solution is the solution. We are working there. I think we will have an international agreement to be ratified by member states by half of next year. It's not tomorrow, but I think it deserves some month of further work to avoid this proliferation of different taxation, which is not good for the economy and not good for industries.
All right.